Welcome back to First Year in Medical Device Sales. I am your host, Jacob McLaughlin, and I am just so full of gratitude. I want to say thank you to every single person that's watching this. I've been getting a lot of messages on LinkedIn lately. I'm so glad that these are helping you. I'm so glad that the podcast is actually doing what we intended it to do, helping you guys win business, feel more confident, feel like you know what you're doing as you're going through this process. Because again, I didn't have that help, and that's what this is all about. So I'm just so glad to see that it's actually happening, that you guys are getting knowledge and getting value from this. And so I just want to say thank you to you guys because of all the messages that I'm receiving, and it's just super sweet, and I just really appreciate it. And I'm glad to know that it is helping. And so today's episode, I want to continue to provide value for you all. And it's going to be talking about the competitive landscape, or working with competitors in medical device sales. And so where this actually got sparked is got the opportunity to talk to a great person who's in med device sales. They were going through a situation where doctors and surgeons are doing a competitive trial. And so we got to talk through that. And so I wanted to bring a little light to you guys on what can happen, how you deal with reps, how you can deal with competitors like I did. And so again, the reason I'm just going to always share this is my experience. Hopefully it can help you guys. And that's why I give you these tips. But from my experience, so when I came into medical device sales with my original company, it was Medtronic. I took over the lowest performing territory in the nation, right? So you guys probably already know that. And the reason I say that is because I was always dealing with competitors, especially because the place I was at and the territory I was in was a lot of split share. And so what that means is there's some hospitals that when you go, you lock out the whole hospital, or you can lock out the whole IDN in the system. Mine was never like that. They allowed the competitors. So we would go, and our products would both be on the shelf at the same time. There was some surgeons using us, some surgeons using them. And when I originally showed up, it was mostly everyone's using them, and then not many people were using us. And so what I had to do was take over the business, gain more doctors, gain more surgeons, do those trials, and then have successful wins to then grow our business. And so I wanted to talk to a couple pieces that led to my success. Number one, when we're talking about dealing with competition, is just understand focusing on yourself. So many times people will be like, oh, I'm going up against this company. They have this and this and this, and we're better because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And that's always what the easy thing is. It's the comparison game. It's the, we're better because of this. What so many people try to do, and this was a conversation we had, was what most reps will do. Well, is that they're going to bring up the competition, and then they're actually going to say why they're better. Then they're going to actually talk down about the competition. And then they're going to try to get the surgeon to actually use them. We've all been in the point where you've had people that you might know talk bad about a friend. And then you're like, wait, if you're talking bad about that friend, do you talk bad about me? Right? And then you guys start to think about that. And that's what I want you to think about in surgery and when you're talking to these surgeons. You know, I had a post that went viral a while ago, and it was when I was with Medtronic, and it was with a competitive doctor that I was able to have switched to us. And the post was just talking about every time I was with that surgeon, I just was focused on providing value. I was focused on making sure that they got the best patient outcome that they could, but also just showing what our devices did. And she was like, Jacob, what's super interesting is every time I'm with you, you just focus on your product. You focus on the clinical portion of that I want to know. You help me have better cases, and you're only focused solely about our current case and your product. That's it. That's all you talk about. But she's like, what's super interesting is when I'm with your competitors, all they do is they talk bad about your product. They talk bad about your company, and then they try to tell me why their product's so much better than yours. That's honestly why I've always had some red flags when they do that, because you've never once done that. And you always just focus on your clinical portions of your product, and we focus on that. And then we also were more affordable for the hospital. And so we could just talk to that piece. And that's all I ever kept it. We had that conversation that day. She ended up signing for 3 more cases, then she completely switched with us. And the reason I'm telling you, and the reason that post went so viral, I just went on and talked about the competition and talked about when you're going up against other reps, everyone thinks it's them against someone else. And the reality is it's you versus you. It's you focusing on yourself and just making sure that you're providing the best patient outcome, the best service. And can you talk about your product and know the knowledge about it and being a clinical expert in what you're selling? And most people can't do that. And so then when they don't know what to do, what they actually turn to is then they turn to talking bad about other companies, and all of it is. Now, there's a difference also when you show clinical research. If you're just showing what you've done and how it compares to the competition, compared to actually bad mouthing the competition. And that's where there's a fine line. And that's where you have to see, hey, when I'm showing these things, I'm just going to be showing what the paper says. I'm going to be showing it is what it is, right? But what so many people will do is they'll read it, they'll show it, and then they'll give their opinion. And again, the reason I'm just continuing to tell you guys this is when you're working with surgeons, when you're working with other people, it's not your place to talk bad about another company, about another rep, even though they may not be the greatest, even though it may not be better for the patient. I understand. But let me tell you why I'm telling you all this is because the moment you start talking bad about them, it shows the insecurities of you. It shows the insecurities of your product. It shows that you are like, oh my gosh, they're going to take my business and maybe I should get it back. So the reason I'm saying that is it leads me into number 2 is it shows you're not confident and that your product might not actually be better. And what I told them is this person that I talked to was they've had surgeons that have been using them for a long time, but now they're wanting to try the competition. And so to try to save them, he was trying to show clinical research. He was saying, hey, this is how we're better. They're not as good as us in A, B, C, D. But what I told him to say, and this is how I always have thought about things, is you should actually encourage them to go try it. Because let me sit here and tell you, it's why I've told our companies, I always interview with other companies every single year. And why is that? If I'm at the best possible place that's paying me the best, has the best work-life balance, all of the above, I should go interview and be like, man, I am so lucky to be with my current company, right? But if I'm not, and I'm like, well, hang on, that seems like that might be a little bit better. Well, now that makes you start thinking and be like, well, maybe there is something that's out here. It goes back to the same thing with a company. If you tell your company that, so I tell my company that as an employee, but as an employer, a company should be like, yeah, Jacob, I would love for you to go interview with other people because you won't find another place that gives you the work-life balance you're looking for, pays you the opportunities, whatever that thing is for you. But the reason I'm just saying that is because it shows the confidence in what you know, the product that you have. And so same thing, instead of being like, oh no, doc, don't use this because of A, B, C, D. What I've always done is say, doc, I think that's great. Yeah, I think you should go trial them. I think you should be able to go see apples and compare them apples for apples and see which one you like better and what you think. But can I just ask if you hear anything from another rep that you think may sound a little out there or they start telling you things about our products, can I just ask that you come and ask me about it? Because unfortunately, sometimes reps will do whatever they can to try to get your business and they won't always tell you the truth. And every single time I told them that, they were all like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. You are not doing this open-handedly and saying, hey, go try other products. The reason I'm telling you that is when the doctors are already trying other products, right? When they're already using the competition because, hey, one of the doctors in the groups wants to trial it because they're, been able to talk to them out of 5-10 people. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, what are you guys doing? And you get mad at them. The reason I'm telling you that is I've watched reps do that. They actually yell at doctors. They'll be like, what are you doing? We've had a relationship, whatever it is. It shows the insecurity and it shows that like, oh my gosh, instead of if you come down being calm and you're like, hey doc, can you tell me a little bit more why you're using this? And just be calm. And they might be like, yeah, Jacob, yeah, one of the doctors, ABC, wants us as a group to trial it. We have to trial it for the hospital. And then for you, that's where you can come in and just be like, oh, that's great. Understand why they are trialing it, right? Hey, Dr. A, B, and C wants to use it. And then you get to ask questions. Yeah, so what's making the decision, right? So is it clinical? Is it financial? What's that piece going to be, right? And then you just get to ask a little more. But the reason I'm just telling you that is when you can come in as a rep and be confident of who you are and the product that you sell, if they're starting to use another product, this is again, not saying, oh yeah, just go use them all. It's, hey doc, yeah, would love for you to go try other ones because I, again, want to compare apples to apples, and I would love to hear your feedback. And then just learn, because this is what many people miss is you should be having doctors try other things, because guess why? They will tell you what they like about your product. And then guess what you get to go do with other surgeons? You get to go talk to other surgeons and tell them why Dr. ABC likes your product over the competitor. right? And again, that's not a slam. It's just saying, hey, yeah, Dr. ABC, or we've had other doctors switch to us because they like to use A, B, and C. It's all about, again, coming from that place of abundance. And what this really gets into is when people are starting to just be like, no, don't use these people, don't do this. It actually comes in as, why are they saying this? And then if you actually go into it and you think about it, why are you as the rep saying that? And this was a real talk we had. I said, why are you saying that? And we're like, it's because your paycheck gets affected by that, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I know, it's easy. That's why you're going to be on edge and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, right? But that is also the very, very reason that you can push people away, because they now know that you're trying to get their money and you're trying to continue to do this, compared to if you can be confident and be like, oh yeah, no, go try it out. And you come from a place of abundance. If you have such a great product that you should have, because you guys should not be selling stuff you don't believe in. If you have stuff that's so great, guess what you can go do? Go get another surgeon. You can go get another group. You can go get another hospital, right? It's that kind of confidence when you have that. Be like, yeah, doc, we know that we've had these clinical trials. We've seen this. Would love for you to try it and just see for yourself so you can understand. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. That's going to also give you the freedom to go work on other accounts. So the reason I'm just saying this is, when you guys are dealing with competitors, one thing that I continue to see with new reps and just certain reps is they'll talk bad about other people. They'll be like, no, this is bad. Instead of just being like, I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to focus on our products and what I sell, not talking bad about the competitors. And then I'm going to actually flip it on the head, because you got to think about this. I always bring it back to dating. You're dating someone and they're like, oh, I think I might go see someone else. Again, it's not official, but they're like, see someone else. And you're like, no, baby, please don't. No. She'll be like, geez, and run away. You go, yeah, no problem. Sounds good. And you walk away. They'll be like, what the heck? It's by you having confidence, knowing you have a great product, and knowing that if that doesn't work out, guess what? There's another one out there. There's more fishes in the sea. There's more doctors in the sea, more doctors in the hospital, right? There's another hospital. And so what I'm just sitting here telling you is, so many times I see people be like, no, and then they'll trash people. And I'm sitting here telling you, as people who've gone up against reps like that, guess who wins? The person who always is confident and doesn't talk bad about the other rep every time. And it might not be right away. It might not be the first week or the first month or even the first year, but it always comes to light, because not a lot of people want to be around somebody who's just trashing other people all the time. And people will start to pick up on that. So when you're working against competition, that's one thing I would notice. Number 3, be friendly with everybody, right? So I see so many times that people will go in and talk to other reps and they'll see competition. Like it's hilarious. We were talking about this. You go into a hospital and you might see other reps and they start just like, they won't even acknowledge you. And it's always hilarious, because I'm like, I used to be in like GYN and I'd see like someone in ortho or like, let's say spine. And I'd be like, hey, how's it going? They'd look at me, give me a glare and walk off. And I'm like, I'm not even in your division. Like I can't even use your doctors. Like we're both in here. We might as well have a conversation, right? And so what I'm just sitting here telling you is why I'm telling you guys to like talk to other reps inside the hospital. A, you never know who they know. You never know the relationships that they have. Also, just thinking about for the length of your career, we know med device sales is always moving. So always great to learn about what other people do and maybe they make connections. But then lastly is, if it's your competition, I saw my competition, but you know who I was never mean to? My competition. Because guess what? I'm going to see them all over. I'm going to see them everywhere. Why would I be mean to them? That's just a loser mentality, number 1. Number 2, people miss this. When you go talk to somebody, you might as well, you're going to do it. You have to understand they're a rep too, right? And so what I always did was I would go have a conversation. Now, here's the thing. You don't want to give too much information, because then they'll go take it and they'll try to go steal your business, all your stuff. Yes, of course. You got to be smart on that. But guess what? You can go talk to somebody and you can talk to your competition. And all it did for me when I talked to my competition is let me know my competition even better. They might say something, I can figure out what kind of drives them or kind of how they think through their process. And it just lets me actually understand who I'm going up against. And it's an easier process for me, because then I'm like, okay, they're going to come and do this, or they're going to try this, or they're going to lie about this, or you just continue to see it. People who get in and they're like, oh, they're rude to other reps. It's just such a loser mentality. It's a bad look. And you guys can all relate to, know somebody who's done it, because I still see it in the industry. Because again, here at Innovis, I was just at a conference in Orlando. Guess what? We had one of our competition or competitors, or however you want to phrase it, come up and they used our stuff and they're asking about it. And guess what? I'm going to explain it to them. Right now, again, we're not going to go into all the detail, but for example, everything I'm telling them, it's all public anyways. They watch a YouTube video, they read the research articles, they do the stuff. It's great, right? And this is the thing you guys just have to understand is you need to have competition. If it's just you, how are you supposed to grow? You should always want competition because you should be able to improve from them. And you should be able to say, hey, this is where we're different. This is where we're better, right? Like this is the things that you can continue to learn as you go through this process. So I really just wanted to talk about today, when you're dealing with a competitor, when you're dealing with competition, everybody thinks it's like, I got to hate them. It's got to be this massive war. I got to trash them. I got to talk down to them. And the reality is you don't. It's how I've built my life over the last 5 years after hearing Gary Vee talks about it. And it's build your building the tallest. And not by ripping other buildings down, but by just building it the tallest, right? If you just focus on you, focus on giving the best clinical support, focus on having the best product, focus on making sure you know what you're doing. Focus on making sure you show up on time, that you're communicating well. You focus on just being able to build strong relationships with your accounts, making sure that you follow up with your accounts and you actually continue to show value to your accounts. And then when people are trying to come in, you can just learn about it instead of getting defensive and being like, oh, no, they suck, or no, you shouldn't use them, or doc, what are you thinking? You just say, interesting, doc, why are you looking at doing that? Oh, because a lot of times you'll find out it's some other doc who is barely using you, is trying to bring them in. And then guess what? If they have one person and you have the 4 others, guess what? It's going to get squashed. But you have to understand, hey, would love to hear your feedback. I'm excited for you to try it so you can compare apples to apples, but would love to hear your feedback on it and see what your thoughts are. And guess what? Going back to just being confident, that is how you continue to win competition. Because I can tell you, as somebody who took a lot of competitive landscape to be able to grow my territory from lowest performing to top 10 in my first fiscal year, it's being able to go have conversations, build relationships, and just focus on yourself and your product and not tearing down the competition. Again, it doesn't mean you don't share the difference between the competition, but you don't need to tear them down. And so I just really wanted to make this today because, again, med device sales is an absolute amazing industry, but you have a lot of egos here. You have a lot of people going at it. And what I continue to see is people trying to will their way, rip it out, trying to get sales because they need the sales. And I'll sit here and tell you, it's why most people lose. When you're always needing a sale and you're always trying to upsell, and then somebody's like making a switch and now you're yelling at them, guess what? They know that you're getting paid off that. And now you just become money hungry, and they know that, and it just shows off. Compared to, like, I always tell people, you know, when you're going to make a lot of money in med device sales is when you don't need the sale. Like when you actually get to a place where you're like, yep, I'm working with great people. We're doing a lot of good stuff. So we're crushing quota. We're doing our things. I don't even need the sale. Watch what happens to your numbers. You will watch it go skyrocket because, again, yes, you want to give the support. Yes, you want to make the sale, but again, we've all been in those places. I always think about like when you go to a shoe store and there's a guy who's like, hey, you need help? There's a girl like, hey, you need help? And they follow up with you every 1 or 2 minutes. You're like, we'll just leave. You get so annoyed. But think about when you go in, you see some J's or you see something that you like, you try it on, you're kind of like, And then you're like, maybe I want some help with this. And then you look around and then they're like, hey, can I help you? And you're like, yeah, let's try this on. And then you actually go, and then they just have a conversation with you and talk. Like, that's sales too, right? But the reason I'm saying that is there's different sales styles. And what I would just sit here and continue to tell you guys is just continue to work on you, continue to focus on your product, continue to focus on what you're doing and not being over the top, not being pushy, just continuing to be the best rep that you can be. And you will have a lot of success in medical device sales. I'm really hoping that this podcast could just be a little encouragement and be helpful for you, that when you're dealing with competition, just understand that they will throw some slights at you, that they will lie about things. Like they will do things that are dirty and it sucks and it's not great, right? But then I always continue to focus on, I'm going to build my building the tallest by building it the tallest, not by ripping others down. Continue to focus on you. And I promise you, if you do that, if you walk with confidence, if you just continue to focus on what you're doing, you will start changing your territory, because no doctor's ever been told to be like, yeah, go try another one when they're already using it. Again, they're already using it. Yeah, go try it. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, because it shows that you're confident in your product. So hopefully this was helpful. Really appreciate you guys. Press that like and subscribe button. If you can share this to somebody that you feel would be helpful, I really appreciate that. And just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Really means the world. The last thing I'll just tell you is it's been really cool to see having people reach out. Just tell us your topics, things that you would like us to go over. Love to be able to help you guys. So again, just shoot us a message on LinkedIn at Jacob McLaughlin. Also, it's been really cool to see that we've been having reps reach out to us, that associates, we've helped associates go from associates to full-line reps in under a year. And so we've actually been having people reach out to us. And so if you are in that spot, feel free to reach out to me at Jacob McLaughlin new to medical device sales. Would love to connect with y'all. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Peace.